sorry I keep tapping out. I just want to make sure people are in here and can hear me and all sorts of crazy stuff. Um, but yeah, we are going to start this again for those of you who are not and did miss the list other portion. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Reflection and Projection for Sports podcast with Simon Burtz. We thank you all for taking an hour out of your time and tuning into the show where today we will be reflecting on and projecting 4 pieces of sports news, 4 different sports entailing 4 of the biggest things happening in the current world of sports. First of all, I see one person in here. Please put in the chat if you can hear me or if you cannot hear me. Or put a thumbs up. I really don't care. Put a thumbs up if you can hear me. And they left. So, okay. So before I get into anything else, when it comes to podcasts, especially about college football, I can guarantee you this first topic coming up in just a moment is every single football's number one topic in podcasts right now. I got to get to the joke first, though. I got arrested for illegally downloading Wikipedia in its entirety. Well, before I got arrested, I said, wait, I can explain everything. Yep, it's really bad, isn't it? So, when I mean one of the biggest topics right now, I mean it. Sherrone Moore not only fired as Michigan head coach, but is arrested and is charged with third-degree home invasion, stalking in a domestic relationship, and breaking and entering. So, the first thing I want to address when it comes to this is let's go back to the 2023-24 college football season. Jim Harbaugh was leading the team. It was an absolutely unstoppable Michigan team. My goodness, no one was going to stop them. We kind of knew here and there that they were going to win the national championship. But following the national championship, Jim Harbaugh gets a job with the Chargers. And at the time, Sherrone Moore, at the time offensive coordinator for Michigan, took over as head coach. At the time, I was just very pleased. It was a great hire. He had done so many great things for the program, and I was with it. Even though I'm a Buckeye fan, I was like, that's a good hire. And obviously, with the change of rosters in Michigan, 24-25, we knew coming in that wasn't going to be their best year. But now we come into 2025. They lose a couple games. They lose to Oklahoma, USC, and then, yes, they lose to Ohio State. But then the biggest news goes up as my winter break begins. So when this went up, I was, it was a normal Wednesday. It was during finals. And my dad was in the car with me. I was driving home, and might I say, little did I know, on the way home, that is when the news went up. I get home, I check ESPN, and I am just mind blown. I'm like, what on earth is happening here? I see Sherrone Moore gets fired. When I just see that part, I'm like, huh? You fire him just after that? But then I went deeper into the story, and I was like, okay, I see why they fired him now. Now, that's pretty serious. Obviously, it's very serious when it comes to when it comes to his decisions, the decisions that Sherrone Moore made. As a head coach, you got to be looking up to your players. You should not be setting a bad example for them and going off and having a relationship with somebody, even though you are already married. So now we have the court case and the charges themselves. So third degree home invasion, it's not first or second degree, but third degree, any sort of charge like that is pretty serious, And then if I'm Sherrone's wife and I hear about this, I would be pretty frustrated with him. When look at their perspective. You find out when someone you have been in a relationship for a long time just finds out the fact that you've been in a relationship with somebody else, not only somebody else, but somebody who is working under you. You do not have relationship. You are not supposed to have a relationship with somebody who you're working under. It doesn't matter if they're the same age as you. It doesn't matter if they like each other as employees. It's just you cannot have a relationship with them. It just cannot happen. It is against the law. And um, and just recently, now people want to bring the entire athletic department in this scandal. I don't know if you can bring every single last person in the athletic department in it, but if they decide to do that, that's what they're going to do. So yeah, it's a pretty serious thing that we are having to talk about. And when it comes to a topic like this, when it comes to a guy like Sherrone Moore, one of the biggest things that stuck out to me was there were rumors for a while, pretty much all season, going around campus about this. I had absolutely no idea whatsoever that this was going on. I had no idea that there were any rumors going around campus about, oh, is Sherrone Moore in a relationship with this and this and that? And it was like, in the moment, it's like the least expecting topic on ESPN that you could expect. It's like, oh, you're probably expecting more of this and more of that of the NFL. We're going to get to the NFL later. But all of a sudden, out of all topics, this goes up. He gets fired because he's in a relationship. It's like, whoa. Now, so as Michigan, as the program they are, they haven't been at their best lately, but they're obviously valued to consistently be at the top of, or at least flirting with the top of college football. Like I said, the last couple of years they haven't really been doing so. So in the near future, what does this do for Michigan? Who will become their new head coach? There's a few names in mind. There's Kalen DeBoer, Kenny Dillingham, Jesse Minter. Yes, Joe Brady's kind of on there, but I feel like he's doing so much with the Bills that you just can't expect him to leave Josh Allen in that offense. And then Jedd Fisch. But the most important point I want to make, because when it comes to this, is the coach taking over at Michigan is going to happen before any of the players decide what they want to do in their future. It's not Haynes, or it's not Underwood saying, I'm going to go to the transfer portal now because Sherrone Moore is gone and he's the coach that recruited me. That's not how I just don't know if that's how that's going to work. It's all about the people. Look at James Franklin and look at Virginia Tech. James Franklin is cooking right now, stealing all these 4-star transfers and recruiting all these 4-star magicians to the Hokies. They didn't go there until Franklin officially came the head man at Virginia Tech. He did not. So if a bunch of guys are gonna if you're gonna have a bunch of Wolverines that are gonna be piled up in the transfer portal, I think if that's I think the new coach of Michigan, like the guy who's going to come over and take over as Michigan head coach, that's going to happen first. Because then the players are going to see. They're going to see who the coach is. They're going to see, okay, should I play for this guy or should I not play for this guy? It's all about the relationships and the connections you're making. It's all about those connections you're making. I'm telling you. And so, um, and okay, but before the quick rundown here, okay, Kalen DeBoer, the odds that Kalen DeBoer becomes the new coach at Michigan. Yes, he's in the news, but I just don't see it. Because, yes, Bama had a rough year last year. They were a lot better this year. I don't see Kalen going anywhere. Yes, they lost 3 games. They are still somehow in the playoffs. But the point of being a head coach at a school like that, it's not just to win natties every single year. Yes, that's the value, is win a natty every year. But you've got at any school in college football, is what I meant to say, is that you've got to build. You've got to take time to build that team. Ryan Day took over at 2019. He has not, before Thanksgiving this year, he had not won against Michigan since 2019. As of now, he has not won the Big Ten championship since 2019 or 2020. And so Kalen DeBoer going to Michigan, I feel like is so unlikely. I mean, DeBoer has already had a couple of years at Bama now to get used to the environment, get used to the situation and where he is, some of the players he's been with. And as much as people are moving left and right in college football, I just don't see it happening. And like I said with Joe Brady, I don't see him going anywhere. Joe Brady, Josh Allen, the connection there is just legendary. I don't see him going anywhere. Jesse Minter, the Chargers, they have a great defense. I just don't see him going anywhere. Kenny Dillingham, these names are so big. I still don't think they're going anywhere. I think Michigan is going to have to either promote one of the current assistant coaches right now, or they're just going to have to play hot potato, or they'll have to play Big Bucks No Whammies or Jeopardy or whatever game show you want to think of, and somehow find a head coach. It's a big conversation right now with Sharon Moore, and going back to the Chargers themselves, when it is so important as a head coach when it comes to setting an example for your players. If I'm a head coach at a football program, I know that I've got the pressure and I've got the opportunity to set a great example for my players and set a great example for the school. And you cannot rely on a coach that is doing these kinds of things to stand up and lead these young men. These young guys are they're my age. I'm a junior in college. A lot of those guys are they're literally my age. Their brains aren't fully developed. And they're still learning things. And it's a lot for them. Bunch of college kids, some freshmen who just left their house 4 months ago, 5 or 6 months ago, for the first time, like living away from their house and living at school in another state possibly for the first time in their lives, and now they're having to go through this. This is something that they're going to remember forever. Look at Bryce Underwood. This is something he's going to remember when he's 70 or 80 years old. You cannot rely on a coach that does this kind of thing. You've got to have a coach who is going to build a strong community, and that's that. So, the next topic going into the podcast, we're going into the NFL now. So, am I happy or am I annoyed about how the current NFL season is turning out in terms of the good old days? So, if you go back to the beginning of the season and to today, December 17th, look at what's happened. Joe Flacco played well for a Burrow-less Bengals team. A Legion of Boom type defense in Seattle emerging again. New England already has their quarterback for the next decade, assuming no injuries, and are once again flirting with the top of the NFL. Rodgers averaging nearly 200 yards a game once again. Surprise, Philip Rivers signs with the Colts. Not a bad game the other day. Matthew Stafford is a top 5 quarterback in the league. Am I still 10 years old? Whoa, it's like the Mahomes era hasn't happened. Whoa, this is a new thing here. The Apple Watch. Let me get more familiar with this. Whoa, streaming. Should I get this? Cable's been the thing forever. What is this streaming thing? I should get more familiar with this. Hold on. Instagram, whatever this is, took over Twitter. Am I still 10 years old? Is it still 2015? Like this Aaron Rodgers, this New England greatness, this Legion of Boom, Joe Flacco, Matthew Stafford, where is this coming from? How is this still happening? It's just, and I'm talking about whenever we could never imagine Kevin Durant leaving OKC to play with Golden State. We had no idea that was going to happen. Here's why I like it. I like it from an entertainment standpoint. I really do. I love it from an entertainment standpoint because you it's just sports from a fan standpoint. You want to go there, see the entertainment, and sometimes bringing the old guys back doesn't hurt. Why don't I like it? You want a chance for the young guys to get used to it and being in those top situations as quick as possible. These guys are getting banged up all the time, especially the running backs. Running backs' careers end so much earlier than others. These guys are at their prime. They're at their prime in like their 3rd season. Look at Jahmyr Gibbs. The man is looking like he's already in his prime. Give some of these younger guys a chance to really build up. If we're not talking about Drake May right now, just think about it. We want the new guys to really take over. It's like a new day and age, and it's just that's what's been going on. So now let's go back to Philip Rivers on Sunday. It's not a bad performance. Let's go to ESPN because I don't exactly remember the stats here. So Philip Rivers, 44 years old, and has signed a contract with the Colts. Let's go over to the Colts Seahawks game. Phillip Rivers, 18 for 27, 120 yards, a touchdown and an interception. For someone who's 44 years old, that is not shabby at all. Ignore the -5 rushing yards. Phillip Rivers is back in the NFL. If you told me at the beginning of the season that Phillip Rivers was going to come back towards the end of the season, I would have said, go back and brush up on your research. Because I would have said, what are you talking about? Where are you at in sports right now? Because we'd be way ahead of you. But guess what? All of a sudden, you got to expect the unexpected, and Phillip Rivers is back. It's a lot of things going on when it comes to the NFL, especially with these guys. And now, does this continue? Does this pre-Mahomes era continue? I mean, sadly, look at this. Mahomes is probably going to be out all of next season after that ACL tear against the Chargers. Micah Parsons is possibly going to be out all season after that ACL tear against the Bears. Excuse me. Against the Broncos. So, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? And another thing that I want to mention is that this is the first time in nearly 30 years where we will have a Peyton Manning-less, Tom Brady-less, and Pat Mahomes-less postseason in the NFL. 1998. This is when my cousin was a baby and my other cousin was 3 years old. That is the last time that we had no Peyton Manning. That is the last time that there was no Peyton Manning and no Tom Brady and no Pat Mahomes in the postseason at all. All right. So now you guys, here's what I'm thinking when it comes to the postseason in terms of predictions. So as of right now, yes, finally, my Panthers are great. They're not amazing, but they're doing really well. They're good. They're 7-7. We could still make the playoffs, but I would love a win on Sunday. If somebody came up to me and said, who do you think is going to do well in the playoffs? Who do you think is going to choke early? All that stuff. So I think whoever wins the NFC South is going to go to at least the second round. Winning a division gives you that burst of confidence. As much as the Broncos are good, they're going to have a long time to rest. At this point in time, the Broncos are going to get that first round bye. So, if I had to guess, at this point in time, they're going to get whacked in the second round because they don't have that experience. However, you cannot count out Sean Payton. Sean Payton has more playoff experience than anybody you can imagine. If you don't count Bill Belichick. So, Sean Payton, Super Bowl champion with Drew Brees, and it's just, Okay, now you got the Rams. The Rams are looking like one of the best teams right now, but again, I really think that that first round bye, it gives you too much time to rest, and now you've got that thinking, "Oh no, are we going to be out of shape?" Cuz at this point, as of right now, the Rams and the Broncos are looking like they're going to be the teams that get that first round bye. All right? Now, another team that I want to point out is the Bears. So, Ben Johnson, he's doing a great job in Chicago. They're winning a lot of games, but once again, the playoff experience isn't there. I see a team like the Packers taking them out. I still think the Eagles win the NFC. They have the playoff experience, even though Jalen Hurts is constantly flirting with being a top 10 quarterback. I still don't think he's the MVP. I really don't think so. But the difference here is you're looking at the playoffs, and it's all about experience. I really still think the Eagles win the NFC. Who else is going to be competitive in that division? Maybe the Rams, maybe the Packers. I mean, the Packers don't have Micah Parsons now. The NFC, if the Eagles somehow get knocked out, it is up in the air. The Lions, maybe they've taken their beatings in the playoffs. Maybe that Commanders loss will wake them up a little bit. The Cowboys, after Sunday Night Football, their playoff chances go down to 1%. The Seahawks, they're looking good. The Seahawks, they're another one of those teams that could be up in the air. Jackson Smith-Njigba having an insane season. So it's just in the NFC, it's just up in the air right now. Let's go to the AFC. The AFC, we're looking at teams now like the Chargers. They've had a couple first round exits. They've taken a couple beatings. I could see them going pretty far. Justin Herbert having a fantastic season. Now, let's go to the AFC East. The Bills. If I had to predict who is going to win the AFC, I think it's going to be the Bills. Number one, the Chiefs aren't in the playoffs. Number two, the Bills have taken their beatings. They've taken so many beatings in the playoffs. I feel like the Bills, they have it. They've got it this year. They'll probably play in the AFC Championship. They'll probably play somebody like maybe Denver. I'm not too sure. Maybe the Chargers. The Patriots, maybe. Then you got teams like Jacksonville. They've taken some beatings, but does Liam Cohen have the playoff experience yet? That's why I feel like Jacksonville, despite the good season, is not there just yet. AFC Championship, I really feel like Chargers Bills is going to be that game this year. And so it's a very interesting conversation when it comes to the NFL right now. And now we are going to take a short little break. I know some of you guys are just tuning in right now. We talked a lot about how this football season has felt like I'm still 10 years old and it's 2015, looking at things like Rodgers, New England being amazing, Legion of Boom type Seattle defense, Joe Flacco, Matthew Stafford being a top 5 quarterback. It's like the good old days have come back. And with that being said, I am going to take a quick little break here and there. We're going to have more talk on the podcast in just a moment. Alrighty, we are back for the second portion of the podcast. And I know I'm usually in the studio for those of you just tuning in, but I'm on YouTube this time and I do not have the background music with me this time. So it's all me right now. And okay, so the next topic. This is a topic that cannot be ignored. Quinn Hughes, in a world-class shocker, is traded to the Minnesota Wild for Zeev Buium, Marco Rossi, Liam Ogren, and a first-round pick. So, when it comes to a guy like Quinn Hughes, he has been one of those elite young players, one of the best defensemen in the league in the NHL. So, in terms, great skater, one of the fastest defensemen, one of the fastest defensemen, one of the smoothest ones in the league. He is the fastest defenseman in Canucks history, ladies and gentlemen, to get 300 assists. And straightforwardly, two-way player in the NHL. And he goes to the Wild, and now he has Kaprizov with him. Now that's what you call eliteness. Quinn Hughes and Kirill Kaprizov. Now that's one heck of a team right there. So, in terms of the Canucks situation, so Quinn Hughes was leading the team in points and assists, but the team is last in the Pacific Division. All right? And Vancouver won the Pacific 2 seasons ago and was top 5 in the Pacific last year. So, obviously, with that being said, being near the bottom of the league, obviously, it makes sense to, get him to a contender where he can join guys alongside like Brock Faber, Jared Spurgeon, who's been there forever, Jonas Brodin, who's been there forever, just to get more familiar, to beef up that defense. And even though they missed the playoffs in 2024, you got to figure that the Wild have taken their beatings in the first round. They really have. And so the thing is with Minnesota, they have not made the second round since 2015. They have not made the second round since Jason Pominville and Eric Holla were there. For the folks in here who watch hockey and have been watching for a while, who can remember the days when Eric Holla was with Minnesota and when Jason Pominville was there? That was a long time ago. That was back when I was like 10 years old. And they have not made the second round since then. So, what does this trade do for Vancouver in the future? So, this is one of those trades where you just got to regroup and get your guys back together. It's sports, it's a business at the end of the day. Guys got to move, guys got to go here. Younger guys are going to come in, maybe some AHL guys are going to get called up. But even though the trade deadline is not for a couple more months, they decided to go ahead with this move and let them and just get it out of the way. And in a world like today where moves are so much more often, it's and just the quickness, it's just you got to figure that you got to figure that you can't be surprised, especially if you're a diehard hockey fan. You can't be surprised about this move, even though it is a world-class shocker. It's just because knowing what situation in the season Vancouver is in. It's just like, we don't want to handle this anymore, and we want to just get rid of them and go with our new guys. But the other thing to mention is, think about it. What if he joined his brother? What if he joined his brothers, Luke and Jack? they know each other's tendencies. They're brothers, they've been playing forever, and they just know why they're great, what they're great at, and all that stuff. That would have been team great chemistry up in New Jersey. But in terms of the business side of things, it seemed like Minnesota, like Quinn was who Minnesota needed. So, what a trade in the NHL, man. Let me know in the comments if you think that was a bigger trade than K'Andre Miller going to the Hurricanes or Trevor Zegras going to the Flyers, whichever one. So now the final topic on the podcast. As much as I want to talk about my predictions when it comes to the conversation of NBA trades buzzing around the league, I cannot and will not use exactly what ESPN says. If I use exactly what they say, word by word, I become unreliable. I'm not refuting them. I just don't want to be a copycat. What I will talk about is where I think some of the big names right now in the NBA could end up due to their respective organizations in season situations. As much as I want to talk football right now, this trade conversation in the NBA has gone quite viral. So, when it comes to a guy like Anthony Davis, he's gone on and off the news. Yes, his contract ends at the end of next season, but the new ownership is most likely not playing around. All right? So, it's just, he's one of those guys that just cannot stay off the news. And Anthony Davis is just, he just got traded in February. Now, does he get traded again? We don't know for sure. I wouldn't be terribly shocked if he got traded. In terms of the healthy, the injured list, he's also on and off. And has been pretty much his whole career. So injury prone. It's disappointing, but it is what it is. It happens. And okay, here's some things I want to go over when it comes to the Mavericks situation. First of all, where's your offense? You've got Cooper Flagg. You have Anthony Davis. You have Daniel Gafford. You have Klay Thompson. You got little bits here and there, but where are your Jalen Brunsons? Where are your Tyrese Maxeys? Where's your offense? Like, where's your key? Like, where's your Cade Cunninghams? Where's your offense at? Who knows? And who knows if Nico being fired is going to do something? Maybe stop playing super passive when you're holding a lead and when you are in the moments where it matters most. Like we saw on display in that Utah game where they lost in overtime. When you're holding a lead in that situation in the game, you've got to play aggressive. You cannot be scared in those moments. These latter stages of the game, these are the moments when it matters most. I just don't know what else to say. The Mavericks, obviously, coming into this season, it's like Cooper Flagg, he got drafted. It's like, oh gosh, the Mavericks are going to be a powerhouse this year. Look at where they are. So, and once again, if Anthony Davis gets traded somewhere, I wouldn't be surprised. So, now we got Giannis. Giannis has been buzzing in the news like crazy. His contract also ends in spring of 2027, but like I said, his name cannot stay off the news nowadays. The Bucks have won 2 out of 5 since the Wizards game after that 7-game losing streak, or whatever it was. Giannis is clearly getting fed up about his team getting caught up in the moment and not focusing on the little things which prevent the execution of the big things. They have consistently underperformed in the last few seasons, not just the regular season, but in the first round of the playoffs. And I absolutely understand Giannis's frustration. I absolutely understand. And like I said in the previous episode, Giannis is not the reason why they're losing. They're losing because they're not doing what, quote unquote, they're not doing what they are paid to do. Giannis said, do what you're paid to do. And he means it. And the thing is, you can't, it's just like when you're being a leader for the team, a lot of the players on the team are going to look up to you. I'm telling you. And the thing with this is, in this situation with the Bucks, it's like if I was Giannis, I'm going to keep saying to my guys, hey, I cannot be doing all the work for you. I need you to do your job. I need you to do this, do that, be on this, have that sense of urgency. Maybe don't try to get all in one job. Every job's got to be filled. The puzzle's got to be complete. It's just Giannis is one human being. He can't do 5 different jobs at this level. It can't happen. The other players have to step up and do their job. It's just you have to be able to rely on your players to get the job done. So now we have Trae Young. He also can't stay off the news. This is the last year of his contract. And you probably would have done something anyway if the season didn't go well. Like you're thinking going into this season, you're probably thinking you would have done something. The big thing with Atlanta is they could probably rebound the ball a lot more. They could probably rebound the ball a lot more if they stay focused and composed. And you cannot blame Porzingis. He's barely even gotten to play. Dyson Daniels cannot be doing all the work. Yes, he's a top 3 player in steals in the league so far. But my goodness, everyone's got to pitch in. Look, going back to the summer, I was like, look at this Hawks roster. They're going to be a powerhouse. Look at where they are now. Their poor and inconsistent performance when it comes to rebounding and consistent defense, it's got to be fixed. You cannot blame Quinn Snyder for it. It's the players just not doing. It's another one of those examples following up from talking about Giannis. It's like, do what you're paid to do. You've got to pitch in. You've got to be on it. Play hard, play aggressive, and have that competitive spirit in every single game you play. We've got to get boards. You cannot just stand there in the paint and do nothing and get the job done. It just has to happen. It really does. And I wouldn't be surprised if Trae Young got traded as well. And it's not always about I just don't want to be here anymore. I want to go somewhere else. I can't have this consistent losing. It's about business. It's about who needs him. Like who needs a pure shooter, a pure passer, a pure playmaker? Who needs that right now? I mean, yes, you're thinking the Wizards, but they need everything. I know I hate being a Wizards fan, but think about it. Do you really think Trae Young's going to go to the Wizards? They're not a contender. Trae would, if he's going to get traded, he's probably going to go to a place where a point guard is severely needed in a like he's probably going to go to a contending team who severely needs a point guard. Like they have all the other pieces of the puzzle put together, but the one guard is the spot where they need filled. You also might want to put into consideration, who is Trae Young going to fit with the best? We just do not know. And when it comes to guys like Trae, Giannis, and Anthony Davis, the backstory to all this is going into the season, you expected the Bucks, the Hawks, and the Mavs to be some of the best teams in the league. Maybe not the Bucks, but especially the Mavericks and the Hawks being some of the better teams in the league. And their current season situations are obviously not where they want to be. So, the Bucks, 10th in the East. The Hawks, 8th in the East. In the West, the Mavericks, 12th place. I kind of thought 3rd place, maybe 4th for the Mavericks in the West. But no, they're way down in 12th. For a team like Atlanta, I was thinking like 5 or 6. No, they're 8th, and they're on the bubble of the postseason. Bucks, I expected like 7th place, maybe 6th or 5th. They're 10th. So, it's the underperformance of these teams that are really making this such a clear topic to have to talk about. And I'm very curious to see what is going to happen when it comes to these players, because these players have been so big year after year. Like, I cannot, like, who could have imagined a few years ago Giannis in a non-Bucks uniform? After the, looking at the bubble, maybe you could have imagined Anthony Davis in another uniform, but now it's reality. Back in 2021, in the Eastern Conference Finals, who thought Trae Young was going to be in a non-Hawks uniform? That might be coming into reality now. Who knows? And with that being said, that will conclude this episode of the podcast. We thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you for the next episode. I know this is not on the usual Friday schedule, but since there's no particular schedule when it comes to it being on YouTube, I'm going to have more episodes than just once every 2 weeks. Please tune in, and I really appreciate the support. Thank you all very much. See you all next time.